Welcome to Live Interactive English. My name is Winnie.
And I'm Matt.
So, welcome to Flight Risk, the Threat of Bird Strikes Part 2. Speaking of which, Matt, have you ever encountered any turbulence or an emergency? You know, because turbulence means basically when a plane is shaking really bad. Yeah.
Well, I've had, turbulence, not that bad though. It's always been manageable.
Okay.
And I've never encountered a bird strike, fortunately.
Ooh, yes.
But there was one time when I was traveling in China, and it was my first time traveling in China, and I didn't speak any Chinese. And I was taking a flight between Guilin and Xi'an, so two Chinese cities within China. But about halfway through the flight, there were some announcements which I, of course, couldn't understand. And everyone else around me seemed, a little bit worried, a little bit
nervous.
Some people were nervous.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. And then we started preparing to land. But it was only about halfway through the amount of time that I expected to be flying for.
Yeah.
So I had no idea what was going on, and I thought something must be really wrong. We're
you
making
must have been really nervous.
An emergency landing or something. But eventually someone saw that, I was the only non-Chinese person on board the flight, and they came over and told me what was going on in English. And it was just that we were landing at another airport because there was a big storm at the airport we were supposed to land at.
Okay.
So eventually we landed for maybe half an hour and then took off again.
Okay.
And I got to my destination.
Right. So fortunately, I wouldn't consider that like too much of an emergency, but it was just better safe than sorry.
It was scary for a little bit when I didn't know what was happening, but it turned out it was not that big
especially
of a deal.
if you don't understand what's going on. But thankfully, there was a person to kind of calm you down. But so I am excited to get into this episode because there's a lot to be discovered.
So let's get into it.
Over the years, airports have invented many techniques for preventing bird strikes. One popular method involves using loud noises or flashing lights to scare birds away. Another approach is to remove the bird's source of food and shelter by filling in ponds and paving over grassy areas. However, birds can get used to loud noises. Moreover, removing natural habitats doesn't just affect birds, it destroys the whole ecosystem. In recent years, the aviation industry has been trying out more novel solutions, like hiring animal help. Salt Lake City International Airport employs pigs to eat the eggs of nearby birds. Similarly, Southwest Florida International Airport is using dogs to chase birds away.
Welcome to Flight Risk, the Threat of Bird Strikes Part 2.
Over the years, airports have invented many techniques for preventing bird strikes. One popular method involves using loud noises or flashing lights to scare birds away.
Okay, that would make sense.
Well, I would think, airports are pretty noisy places anyway.
True,
so I don't know how many additional loud noises you need to make, because airplanes are
not quiet.
Loud, yeah.
Another approach is to remove the bird's source of food and shelter by filling in ponds and paving over grassy areas.
Okay, so that's one way to do it. So not just to scare them away, but just to make them not want to live there.
Yeah, I guess it's pushing them out. So what is shelter? And shelter is a noun, and it just means a place that provides protection. So for example, the church provides food and shelter to homeless people in the winter months.
Okay.
So shelter is very important for protection from, the weather or maybe even, really hot sun or rainy days.
That's right. So if birds have nests where they want to protect their eggs or their young birds, they will need to have some shelter.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other way they do it is by paving over areas that the birds might want to be. So to pave means to cover an area of ground with a hard surface such as stone or cement or pavement, which is that blacktop surface that we put on roads.
Yeah.
For example, Sadly, the local government has decided to pave over the beautiful old park.
Right, so this example is kind of, I personally would feel the same way if we were to talk about paving over a lot of these natural areas that these birds were originally staying at. But of course, I guess that would ultimately save a lot of birds though in the long run.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they have to move these birds away from the airports where they maybe have been living. Maybe these kinds of birds have been living in that area for a long time.
Yeah.
But because people need airplanes, the birds gotta go.
Yeah, evict them.
However, birds can get used to loud noises. Moreover, removing natural habitats doesn't just affect birds. It destroys the whole ecosystem.
So what is a habitat?
So a habitat is an area in which you find an animal or many animals living together. So this kind of habitat, you might have different kinds like wetland environments or desert environments, which are different types of habitats where animals live. So if you take away the birds, that's part of the ecosystem in which all the animals are connected.
Right.
So maybe if the birds are gone, there will be some other animals, maybe foxes or something, which eat the birds, which will also be affected when their food goes away.
Right, so you're not just affecting one animal, you're affecting the whole ecosystem or habitat. So continuing on, in recent years, the aviation industry has been trying out more novel solutions like hiring animal help. And so if we go back to this word aviation, it basically means vehicles or things that operate in the sky or by flying, right? So continuing on, Salt Lake City International Airport employs pigs to eat the eggs of nearby birds. Snack time for them, you know?
Right, okay, that's an interesting solution. I've never heard of this before.
Yeah. Similarly, Southwest Florida International Airport is using dogs to chase birds away. I feel like that is more friendly.
I feel like, wow.
Well, actually, no, that's kind of scary.
I feel like they're both interesting solutions, and I've never been to an airport which had animals around. So it'd be interesting to go to one of these airports and see the pigs or see dogs, or as you're taking off, you can see.
Right. Because pigs is very interesting because dogs, I wouldn't be so surprised because you see dogs at the airport already. They have their job, which is to make sure there are no bombs or, bad things. But pigs, I just picture a pig in a life vest, or not a life vest, one of those reflector vests and a helmet, and just getting ready to go eat some eggs.
Especially when they use the term employ pigs in the article. It sounds like they're giving these pigs a
Salary.
job, they're hiring them, they're getting paid to do this work.
Their payment is the eggs, I guess.
I guess so. All right, well, we're going to find out more about the solutions airports have to this problem when we come back after the break.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。第一天的课文简单介绍了鸟击的定义、曾经发生过的案例，还有可能造成的后果。我们接着来看看，如今机场有哪些避免鸟击的技术。一种常见的方式呢，就是用吵杂的噪音啊，或者是闪烁的灯光来把鸟吓跑。那另一种方式是透过填平池塘，把草地铺成路面，来移除鸟类的食物来源，还有躲避处。不过鸟类可能会习惯吵杂的噪音，而且呢，移除这个天然栖息地，不光是会影响到鸟类，也会破坏整个生态系。那近年来，航空业就有一直在尝试更新奇的解决方法。我们先看单字 shelter。shelter 当名词可以指栖身之地，或者是避难所、躲避处。pave 这个动词则表示铺路、铺设。我们在后面加上名词字尾 ment， 会得到 pavement。pavement 就表示人行道或者是铺过的路面。那刚刚说到把这个鸟类赶走 ，Winnie 老师用到 evict 这个动词。evict evict 可以表达逐出、赶出或者是驱逐。那这边两个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，我们来看第一个重点是 one another 的用法。在没有限定范围的人事物中，要列举其中两个单数名词时，我们就要用 one another 去表达一个怎么样，另一个怎么样。那么在列举第三个的时候，就会用到 still another 举例来说 Ryder has several pet dogs. One of them is named Chase, another is named Rocky, still another is named Marshall. Ryder 有几只宠物狗，其中一只叫 Chase, 另一只叫 Rocky, 还有一只叫 Marshall。好，那么第二个重点是 get used to， 这是表达逐渐习惯什么什么。那这个用法中的 to 是介系词，所以后面我们是要接名词或动名词。例如 She's getting used to the hustle and bustle of city life. 她逐渐习惯了城市生活的喧嚣。那补充一下被动语态 something be used to 再加原形动词，这样的句型则是表达某事物被用来做某事。那这里的不定词 to be 是用来表达目的哦。例如 This jar is used to store sugar. 这个罐子是用来存放糖。介华课文中。
Elsewhere, screens showing huge eyes are used to scare raptors away, and some airports even fill the air with smells that birds find unpleasant. However, prevention methods aren't limited to keeping birds at bay. Some airports now use radar systems to detect birds, and many plane designers are trying to create more bird-proof airplanes. So, while bird strikes may seem like an unavoidable consequence of humans and birds sharing the same airspace, hopefully these new technologies will help make them a thing of the past.
Welcome back. So we were just talking about some of the ways that airports get birds away so that they don't have these bird strikes anymore. So some airports use things like lights or sounds to scare the birds away, while others use animals like pigs or dogs to keep the birds away.
Yeah, very creative. So let's continue with the article. Elsewhere, screens showing huge eyes are used to scare raptors away, and some airports even fill the air with smells that birds find unpleasant. Really quickly, let's go back to this word raptors. It basically means birds of prey. So birds that kind of swoop down and hunt other creatures like mice or maybe even smaller birds like hawks or eagles or even owls. But filling the air with things that birds don't find pleasant, I'm curious as to see what those smell like.
What is that smell that birds don't like?
Yeah.
Is it, you know?
That's a very I'm gonna Google that later.
All right. Well, we have another adverb in there, which is elsewhere, and elsewhere simply means at or in a different place than what we are talking about. So elsewhere meaning other places. So for example, on Main Street, it was very busy. Elsewhere in the town, it was much more peaceful.
Right.
So meaning in the other places other than Main Street.
Yeah, not here.
However, prevention methods aren't limited to keeping birds at bay. Some airports now use radar systems to detect birds, and many plane designers are trying to create more bird-proof airplanes.
Bird-proof airplanes. Interesting. Kind of sounds scary.
Bird-proof airplanes sound scary?
Because, I mean, not scary for us. Good for us, humans, but kind of scary for birds.
Well, maybe that's bird-proof means they can just like slide off
okay.
without getting hurt.
Okay, so we have this word radar, and it's a noun, and it just means a system that detects a lot of things like movement or objects or weather, right? Like when we check the weather, we have radars that tell us, oh, it's going to be 24 degrees right now, but later on it'll be colder. So for example, the weather station's radar system made us aware of a coming storm. So radars are very important for planes because, you know, when you're going at such a fast speed and when it's maybe cloudy or stormy, you're going to need a radar system to kind of tell you or tell the pilots, you know, things that they can't see right away.
Okay, so they use these to detect, and to detect is a verb and it means to identify the presence of something, or so to know if something is there or is not. So for example, this machine can detect tiny changes in the air's temperature.
Right, or like a lie detector.
That's right. Yes. So these things can find whether these things like lies or changes in the air's temperature are there or not there.
Right. Continuing on. So while bird strikes may seem like an unavoidable consequence of humans and birds sharing the same airspace, hopefully these new technologies will help make them a thing of the past. And if we just go back to that word unavoidable, it basically just means something that you can't run away from, you have to face it, or you can't avoid, right? We have that word in there. But basically, yeah, it's not something that we can just say, oh, birds stay out of the way. We have to find solutions for these. Yeah.
Okay, so we have another word in there, which is consequence. A consequence is an, usually unpleasant or unwanted result of something else.
Yep.
So, for example, death is a sad consequence of all wars.
Yeah, kind of like a side effect. Yeah.
All right, and we have a what do you think question. So, Winnie, can you think of any other ways that birds can be scared off?
I have a very good solution, and I think you'll be very impressed.
Okay.
My idea consists of thousands of scarecrows, but inside the scarecrow's head will be megaphones or speakers, and it's just screaming.
So this is pretty similar to the sound using sound.
But the scarecrow is what makes the difference.
The scarecrow. So a scarecrow being something that looks like a person, usually to keep birds away.
Yes.
Okay. And
I think that's a very great idea. What do you think, Matt?
I think the solutions they're using already are pretty good, and I think if anything could be better, maybe using drones to scare the birds. So you fly around and find where the birds are and scare them away.
Right, get rid of the problem before they even take off, right?
That's right.
But you would need another, it's a different type of pilot, one to fly
some drone pilots.
Yeah.
Well. Maybe the other pilots can fly drones while
Maybe
they're
the
waiting.
pigs can fly the drones.
All right. Well, we've learned some good ways to scare off birds, and we learned a bit about the risk of bird strikes. And I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and don't be too scared to fly next time, because these actually rarely happen.
I know I won't. See you next time.
课文有提到一些新奇有趣的方法，像是盐湖城国际机场利用猪来吃附近鸟类的蛋，然后佛罗里达西南国际机场用狗来驱赶鸟类。那在别的地方呢，还有用显示巨大眼睛的萤幕来吓跑猛禽。那有些机场则是让空气中弥漫着鸟类不喜欢的味道。我们先看单字 elsewhere。Elsewhere 这个副词表示在别处，去别处。那么文中用到 raptor 来指猛禽。那么 Winnie 老师则是用到 bird of prey 来表达猛禽。这个 prey 是拼作 P-R-E-Y。好，那老师在讲到猛禽俯冲而下时，他用到 swoop。S-W-O-O-P。那这个动词呢，它表示猛扑、俯冲的意思。课文最后提到，预防鸟击的方式并不仅限于让鸟类不要靠近，有些机场现在使用了雷达系统来侦测鸟类。那么许多飞机设计者也正在试着开发更多防鸟的飞机。为了满足我们人类飞行的安全跟便利性，这个鸟击似乎是不可避免的后果嘛。可是希望未来这些新科技可以让鸟击成为过去式。好，单字 radar 就是雷达。那么 detect 这个动词表示侦测、测出或者是察觉。Consequence 则是指后果、结果，这常常是指负面的后果。所以这时候 Matt 老师在解释单字时，他有提到 unpleasant， 在 pleasant 前面加上否定字首 un， 那这个字表示令人不愉快的、不舒服的。老师还有提到 unwanted， 则是形容不想要的、多余的。好，那最后老师们在回答 What do you think question 的时候，有讲到吓走鸟的方法。那么 Winnie 老师他有提到 scarecrow 就是稻草人。那么 Matt 老师则提到 drone 就是无人机。好，这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。这边我们要介绍的重点是 keep somebody or something at bay， 这是表达使什么不接近，使什么保持距离。那这个片语是用来指防止危险或是令人不悦的人事物靠近或发生。那它就跟 keep somebody or something away 意思相近。例如 regular exercise and a balanced diet can help keep many health problems at bay. 规律运动与均衡饮食能有助于避免许多健康问题。好，那么以上节讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Over the years, airports have invented many techniques for preventing bird strikes. One popular method involves using loud noises or flashing lights to scare birds away. Another approach is to remove the bird's source of food and shelter by filling in ponds and paving over grassy areas. However, birds can get used to loud noises. Moreover, removing natural habitats doesn't just affect birds, it destroys the whole ecosystem. In recent years, the aviation industry has been trying out more novel solutions, like hiring animal help. Salt Lake City International Airport employs pigs to eat the eggs of nearby birds. Similarly, Southwest Florida International Airport is using dogs to chase birds away. Elsewhere, screens showing huge eyes are used to scare raptors away, and some airports even fill the air with smells that birds find unpleasant. However, prevention methods aren't limited to keeping birds at bay. Some airports now use radar systems to detect birds, and many plane designers are trying to create more bird-proof airplanes. So, while bird strikes may seem like an unavoidable consequence of humans and birds sharing the same airspace, hopefully these new technologies will help make them a thing of the past.
Hello! Today, we are going to Chiayi City Municipal Baseball Stadium. Some of you might be wondering what municipal means, because we see that word everywhere. It just means relating to a town or district or governing body. So in this situation, this baseball stadium belongs to the Chiayi City government. We will also find out a lot of the colorful history of Chiayi City Municipal Baseball Stadium. Let's go and check it out. Chiayi City Municipal Baseball Stadium is located near Chiayi Park. The baseball stadium was first built in 1918 during the Japanese colonial period. This over 100-year-old stadium plays an important role in Taiwan's professional baseball. Many excellent Taiwanese baseball teams were trained here and went abroad to enter international baseball tournaments. In 1931, the Kano baseball team claimed second place at Koshien in Japan. In 1979, the Puzi Little League won the championship at the 1979 Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, United States. All these baseball teams went through very extensive and tough training at this baseball stadium. The baseball stadium used to be called the best baseball park ever in Taiwan. However, as time went by, the baseball stadium needed refurbishing. To revive this historic baseball stadium, the authorities put a lot of effort into its refurbishment. The refurbished baseball stadium was reopened in 1998. Outside the baseball stadium, you will see some artworks, such as the huge copper baseball bat and 7 Bengal tigers. They are used to commemorate those who brought honor back to Taiwan. Chiayi means a lot when referring to baseball. When it comes to baseball in Taiwan, Chiayi City Municipal Baseball Stadium is undoubtedly a significant monument. Wow, it's so interesting to learn about the meaningful history behind the Chiayi City Municipal Baseball Stadium. Next time I'm in Chiayi, I hope I am able to catch a game and really submerge myself in the experience of watching a game in the stadium. It's a home run!